Hello everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone had a really good day today. So this is for COMM 305, so Managerial Accounting, and I'm going to be covering chapter 1 and 2, basically going over the Wiley questions, and yeah, that's it. So let's go in the computer. Okay. Let me just adjust. Maybe the volume will be a little louder. Okay. So I'm gonna go in Wiley. We're gonna skip questions 1 to 11. So this is chapter 1. The reason why we're skipping question 1 to 11 is because it's true or false, and you have 2 chances. So if you don't get it right the first time, you just pick the second one. But use these to practice yourself. Don't just guess. They're actually good practice for the midterm and the final, obviously. And yeah, by the way, I just want to tell you guys the final, the midterm is October 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And it's going to cover chapter 1 to 6. So today we're doing chapter 1 and 2. And let's get straight to it. So the first multiple choice question is Managerial Accounting places emphasis on special purpose information. So just in the book here, if you go to page 5, it has all the difference between financial accounting and managerial accounting. So that's that. Managerial accounting information pertains to subunits of the entity and may be very detailed. Again, that's on page 5 if you want to know where that is. Question 14, managerial accounting is also called management accounting. Now that is found on page 4, right at the top. It says managerial accounting, also called management accounting. Moving on. Question 15. Which of the following is not part of the managerial accounting? So, reporting financial information to the shareholders. That's basically for financial accounting. Next. Which one of the following tasks would not be performed by a management accountant? So, preparing reports primarily for external users. Again, that's for financial accountants. Question 17. Which description identifies financial statements that are prepared for external users? So for financial statements, again on page 5, it's going to say general purpose. User specific, special purpose, that's for managerial. And external reports, that's for financial, but they say anyways, just cut it at general purpose. Question 18, which of the following statements about internal reports is true? So the content of internal reports extends beyond the double entry accounting system. So that applies for the managerial accounting. Question 19, which of the following reports would management find useful in decision making? So specific purpose statements on services delivered. So again, specific purpose. Question 20. Which one of the following the planning function involve? So setting goals and objectives for an entity. This can be found on page 6. This is pretty annoying. Okay. Hopefully we don't get that again. Sorry guys. So the management functions, there's planning, directing, and controlling, which can be found on page 6. And the planning stage is setting goals and objectives for an entity. So that 21 I got wrong, so you will benefit from this. So a company acting ethically must adapt to its internal reports to any changes required, and then show the answer. The answer is if they are considered pertinent to its business activities. So it's this one here. Okay. 22. Which one of the following is not a main component of the value chain sequence? So the value chain sequence is on page, bear with me, is on page 14. You have the value chain there. So you just choose which one is not there, and it's ERP. Question 23. One of the advantages of a just-in-time inventory system is that it reduces inventory quantities. Why is this considered to be a benefit? So carrying inventory incurs storage costs, hence reducing inventory quantities reduces costs. So if you go on page 15 in just-in-time inventory methods, the answer will be in that paragraph there. Okay, going to 24. Which of the following is a reason for the reorganization of the 3 accounting bodies in Canada into one CPA Canada? This can be found the answer is this, but I'm just trying to see where it can be found. I think it's on page 17 at the bottom there, but I'm not quite sure. Question 25. For a manufacturing company, the activities in the value chain would not include performance evaluation. So again, they're going back to the value chain, so that's page 14. We're almost done, guys. I think I'm gonna separate chapter 1 for one video and chapter 2 for another video. So just breaks up the 2 chapters. Okay, so for question 26, how do most companies manage their value chain? By creating enterprise resource planning systems. Okay. What is value chain management best defined as? The answer is all activities associated with providing a product or service. Again, this is all under value chain, page 14. 28. Which one of the following is an activity not associated with TQM? And TQM stands for Total Quality Management, I believe. Yeah, Total Quality Management. So page 15 under quality. So the answer is tightening the bolts on a chassis so that the frame will not drop out. So ensuring that the quality is there. 29. Which component of a company's value chain would benefit most from internal management information? All such components would benefit from internal management. Okay. That's a pretty. Sometimes when they say all of the above, that's the answer to go with. Don't go with that rule, but that's something fun. Question 30. The 5 steps in the lean thinking model. The lean thinking model is on page 16, and they explain. They go through the steps in the 3rd paragraph. So there's one big paragraph, then a little small one, and then there's another big one. So it's in that one, and it's define value, then identify the value stream, then make the value stream flow, then implement a pull system, and then strive for perfection. 31. Okay, this is again, this is page 6, so you just match the definitions. This so you state whether it's financial or managerial. So general purpose, financial. Reports are used internally. So keyword internally, managerial, sorry. I'll just pull out the keywords. So general accepted accounting principles, that falls under financial right away. Whenever you see special or special purpose, managerial. Limited to historical cost data, financial. Reporting standard is relevant to the decision to be made. So whenever there's like a decision, so managerial. Financial statements, it's pretty obvious, financial. Reports generally pertain to the business as a whole. So again, general and as a whole. They even have general on top here. So that's financial. Oh, yeah, they trick you. They try to trick you a bit here. But the word to look out for is subunits. Subunits falls for managerial accounting. And reports issued quarterly or annually. Like the teacher said today, because I had the class today for, well, he explained it a bit. He said it's quarterly, monthly, and annually for financial. And for managerial, it's whenever they need it. Okay. 33, last question. This is page, it's a combination of pages, yeah. Page 14 and 15. 14, 15, yeah. So, balance, scorecard, value chain, just-in-time inventory, and activity-based costing. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys, for chapter 1. If you have any questions, any comments, just put it in the group or in the video or anywhere you want. When the date of the midterm is gonna come around, I'm gonna try to make like to go over like midterms, so that's gonna be more helpful. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, great night, great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello guys, welcome back. This is chapter 2, and we're gonna go back on Wiley, and the material for this chapter is obviously not tough, but one scale above chapter 1, and it goes up pretty quickly in difficulty from now on. So obviously I'm going to be getting some more questions wrong, but I'm just going through these with you guys. So if you know something, share it with everyone. If you know I'm doing something wrong, just tell me, because we're all learning together. And yep. So let's just go to the screen. So this is chapter 2. Again, I'm skipping from question 1 to 10 because it's true or false. So starting with question 11, in which of the following categories do indirect materials belong? So indirect materials, it does belong in manufacturing overhead. Yes, we know that. And product costs include direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. So it also belongs in product costs. Period cost is like selling and administrative costs. So it doesn't belong in there. Chapter 12. Question 12. Which one of the following costs would be included in manufacturing overhead of a lawnmower manufacturer? So the key word here, guys, is whenever you see the word depreciation, it's always going to be manufacturing overhead. If you really want to go through them, the wheels would be direct materials. The cost of the fuel lines, again, direct materials, and the wages would be direct labor. This would be manufacturing overhead. Depreciation. Question 13. For 2006, Sparkman Company has cost of goods manufactured of $500,000, beginning finished goods inventory of $25,000, and ending finished goods inventory of $20,000. How much is cost of goods sold? The answer is $505,000. You get that by subtracting the beginning 25,000 by the ending 20,000 you'll get 5,000, and you add it to your cost of goods manufactured. That's it. Which one of the following would not be classified as manufacturing overhead? So indirect materials, yes, because it's indirect. Insurance on a factory building, yes. Indirect labor, again, yes, because of indirect. And direct materials does not belong in manufacturing. It's direct materials. Question 15. A company uses sandpaper in its production process. How is the cost of the sandpaper classified? So sandpaper is something that they use to make the product, right? It's not a period cost. It's not used for selling or anything like that. It's not really a direct material. It's more like an indirect material, I would say. And okay, this is pretty funny. An insignificant expense that can be ignored. Whenever they say that, that's not really it. So the reason why it's a product cost is because it falls under manufacturing overhead. Again, product cost is direct materials, direct labor, manufacturing overhead, and product cost falls under manufacturing overhead. Question 16. Which one of the following is not a manufacturing cost? Manufacturing cost is like product cost, it's a combination of direct labor, direct materials, and manufacturing overhead. So what is not manufacturing cost is obviously advertising costs, which would fall under period costs. Okay, question 17. Which one of the following is not another name of the term manufacturing overhead? Obviously, you see the answer, period cost here. But let's just go over them. So, factory overhead is another name, indirect manufacturing cost is another name, and burden. To be honest, yeah, it is a burden because it's really hard to know what's inside manufacturing overhead because you have all like the little bits and pieces, so it's a burden for the company to calculate the manufacturing overhead. So that's why period cost is not another name for manufacturing overhead. Question 18. A company incurred manufacturing costs that were product costs, but they are not classified as either direct materials or direct labor. What are these called? So obviously manufacturing overhead. If it's not direct materials or direct labor and it's product costs, then it's obviously the one that's missing. Okay, this one I got wrong. So Zinc Inc. incurred cost of goods manufactured totaling 700,000, manufacturing overhead of 320,000, and direct materials totaling 40,000. How much is the amount of direct labor? So this is something I would ask the teacher. I don't know how I got it wrong. They said cannot be determined. I'm just going to bring this over. Basically the answer is cannot be determined from the information provided. Anyways, I don't want to waste your time by telling you what I'm thinking or what I'm assuming, but anyways, you have the answer there, but we can always ask the teacher about this question, just see his point of view. Question 20. Which one of the following is a period cost? So again, period cost is selling and administrative, anything that has to do with sales. So indirect labor, no, that's product. Advertising and factory depreciation, that falls under product cost because it's factory. And income tax and indirect materials, that's product cost. So what's missing is selling and administrative expenses. That's a very straightforward definition of period cost. Whenever you see selling and administrative expense, that's a period cost. So question 21. Where would you expect to find depreciation on factory equipment? So here they really outline it, right? Depreciation. So it's in the manufacturing overhead section of the cost of goods manufactured schedule. There we go. Question 22. Which one of the following is an example of a period cost? So a change in benefits for the union workers who that's basically direct labor. Workers' compensation insurance, direct labor, A process used to produce computers, that would be direct materials. So a manager's salary for work performed in corporate head office. So that's administrative. So that falls under period cost. Question 23. Okay, a company loses its opening financial records in a fire. Oh no. During the following year, it incurred costs of production of 250,000 and sold 300,000 in merchandise. it took an inventory count and found that it had 100,000 in production on hand. What should the company's opening inventory show before the fire? So it had, the cost is 250,000 and sold 300 in 300,000 in merchandise. So you just subtract those, you get 50,000 positive, right? And what it had on hand was 100,000. So you just add 50,000 plus 100,000 to get 150,000, which is the answer. Pretty simple. Question 24. Which of the following would most likely be considered direct labor? So I'm just going to go over a salesperson. Again, that's period cost. That falls under selling and administrative expenses. A security guard, again, that would be administrative. They're not really involved in producing a product or service. They're more like maintaining the place. A maintenance worker, that would fall under manufacturing overhead, since they're helping with the product, but they're not directly. It's indirect labor. We want direct labor. So a worker installing components in a computer. So if it's a company that sells computers, then this worker is part of a direct labor. So that's the answer here. Question 25. The cost of the management accountant working in the front office of a company is a fixed period cost. So I'm just going to break this down. So he's working in the front office. So that's administrative, right? It's not selling, but administrative. So that immediately falls under period cost. So it's either this one or this one. What makes it fixed and not indirect is that usually like the salary of the management accountant, like they know what it is. It's not something that it's not insignificant. It is significant. So it's a fixed period cost. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys think that something else for this question, or you have another explanation, by all means, tell us what you think. Don't be shy. Question 26. Which of the following would most likely be considered direct material? So I'm just going to go from the bottom. So cleaning products used in a factory. That would be indirect, because it's just helping, right? Glue used to make chairs, so helping. Lubrication, again, helping. Wood used to make a chair, now that participates directly in the production of the chair. Like the wood is basically the chair, or the chair is the wood. Anyways, you know what I mean, right? So that's the answer. Question 27. The high-low method. I'm just going to pull out the page for the high-low method just to tell you which page it's on. Okay, so on page 37, you have the high-low method, and it is used to separate fixed and variable elements from a mixed cost. They're going to tell you that right there in the book. So that's the second option here. Question 28. Okay, so using the high-low method, what is the slope of this set of data? So you take the highest and the lowest. So 900 is the highest, and the lowest is the 400 up here. So you do the change in total cost. So 840 minus 440, which will give you 400, and then you do that number, so 400 divided by the change in activity levels. So change in activity levels is 3,500 minus 3,000, which gives you 500. So 400 divided by 500 gives you the slope, which is this. Sorry about that. Just gonna drink some water. Okay. Question 29. What does the slope represent? Basically, the slope represents the rate at which the y variable changes as a result of the x variable. This option here. Question 30. What is the equation of the line using the high-low method and this data? It's right here. Remember, y is always outside. Y is the cost, and you're multiplying your slope by your machine hours, and this is your fixed costs. Okay. Question 31. Okay, let's have some fun. Indicate whether each of the following costs of an automobile manufacturer would be classified as direct materials, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead. So windshield, that's part of the car, right? So direct materials. Engine, part of the car, direct materials. Wages of assembly line workers, so they're part of making the cars, so direct labor. Depreciation of factory machinery, again, depreciation, that falls under manufacturing overhead. Factory machinery lubricants. Lubricants is something insignificant that just helps to facilitate things, so manufacturing overhead. Again, it's a burden to calculate. You know, what is the cost of the lubricant, how much did I use, and all that. Tires, part of the car. You know, we need 4 wheels, 4 tires. So direct materials. Steering wheel, we need something to drive the car. So direct materials, that's part of the car. And salary of painting supervisor. Now a supervisor is part of administrative. So that falls, scratch that. Sorry. He's part of the painting process. So painting is part of the car. So it would fall under manufacturing overhead, not selling and administrative. Sorry. Okay. Question 32. Identify whether each of the following costs should be classified as product costs or period costs. So manufacturing overhead is product cost. I'm just going to say product or period. So selling expenses, period costs. Administrative expenses, period. Direct labor, product. Advertising expenses, period. And direct materials, product. Question 33. Okay. This question, pretty big, as you can see. How I went about doing this, I basically worked backwards. So you have this number here, 550 and 700. You add this 80,300 to this number, and you'll get 631. The numbers will be different in your assignment. Just add these two, and then you'll get this number. And then in order to get your total manufacturing cost, you need your direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. So here they give you the manufacturing overhead, and they give you the direct materials. So just give me a moment here.